Oh. Okay, I'm live. I was going to cancel it and be like, I meant to do lots of other things this morning, but no, let's do it. Let's go live. Thanks for jumping on. This morning I'm going to talk about something that's really, really alive for me, and I feel like it's probably alive for many people in the field. And that is talking about why people don't follow through and the kickback that naturally happens when we make really strong decisions. And this is really prevalent this time of year. So whether you believe in making New Year's resolutions or not, most people I think most people have an interesting relationship to New Year's resolutions because generally they don't last for the year. But there is a collective resetting that cannot be denied, whether you believe in the Gregorian calendar or not, that naturally happens. There's a natural energy of the reset when we come back to the month of January. And because of the nature of things slow down, most people take holidays, there's the Christmas period, there's time with family, often there's time off from work, the actual collective slows down. So there is a pause that allows and invites on many, many levels our consciousness and our experience to start looking for and recalibrating and reflecting on what's happened previously in the last 12 months. And then naturally from that, it's like, and where do I want to go now? It's just a natural thing. And so around about this time, people are either really feeling into that or they've made some decisions and they feel like they have some kind of direction. Wherever you are, this is going to be really helpful and relevant to you. What happens when we make a really strong, powerful decision based on the experience that we've had and where we want to take our life? And if you did the masterclass, then you've done that intuitively and you've really felt into what it is. Even when we receive information from our intuition, which is fully aligned to our blueprint, it's fully aligned to our purpose, it's 100% on track with what we're actually wanting to create and what we're feeling and what we're here to do, it will happen. I guarantee you that you will get kickback and it will be a challenge to follow through, because we have navigated in a certain way with a certain orientation up until this point, and that is natural and it's totally normal. And that navigation system, which is a part of being human, it's part of our ego, it's a part of who we are. That navigation system has limitations and beliefs, and for us to close the gap, those beliefs, we need to, instead of living in the gap, we need to close that gap. And for that to happen, we need to not be listening to those beliefs. And they're really strong, they are ingrained into our human experience. So once we make a really strong decision, we always get smashed by our beliefs. They just come up. It's like the equivalent to calling them out. It's like, okay, here's what I am, and then how you're navigating, how your human navigates is always gonna come up and bubble up to the surface of but how about these things? What about these? Didn't we make an agreement that we believed that you weren't powerful? Don't we have an agreement that you don't have the capacity to do this? And so all the stuff's going to come up, and it'll come up in a myriad of ways through many, many dimensions, and it'll show up in different ways. But when you follow it down and you chase it through and you follow it down to the root, it's always going to be based in what I call this is based on William Whitecloud's work. There's 12 basic limiting beliefs that they literally can never be changed. And they are the ones that we constantly are navigating with. These are the ones that we actually want to be able to integrate and make a part of our day and really be aware of and really understand. And there's two things. It's a razor's edge because we can, even with those beliefs, it doesn't matter how confident we feel. It doesn't matter what those beliefs are. It literally doesn't matter. They will always pull us this way, and we will always want to go that way. So to create what you want in 2021, it's really about walking that razor's edge and knowing that every day is a razor's edge, and today's breakthrough is going to be tomorrow's ego trip. And I'm not making it to sound hard. It is a magical journey. It's a beautiful journey. But it's so great to be aware that it is going to happen. It is going to happen. And once we really accept that tension is always going to be there, and that tension is what's going to really help us to create powerfully, if we're aware of it being there, then that's how we get to make our 2021 really purposeful and really powerful. And it's an exercise of will. And when I see myself and my will, it's not a battle. It's not like I have to fight this thing every day and I'm going to gear up and I'm going to go for it. It's not like that for me. When I see myself in the fullness of who I am, and I experience myself in the fullness of I am, I have this picture on my phone, and you might know there's an artist called Autumn Sky Art, and she's amazing. She does these beautiful, like, shamanic, multi-dimensional, beautiful, like, sound healing, like beautiful colors like purples and oranges, and she has this one, and I don't know what it's called, but it is a woman, and she's like speaking, and all of this like beautiful flame, but it's geometrics coming out of her mouth, and she's wearing like purple, and it's just exquisite. And she has this like dome over her head, and it's a geometric dome, and it sort of looks like a helmet, and it sort of looks like a halo, and that is how I experience my will. And when I really step into that space of that image, because that's what comes to me when I see myself in my purpose and in my purity and my wholeness. And I'm sure you guys can relate to, there is something that when you relate to it, you really feel like that's me, that's my truth. It might be your muse, it might be, you know, an image that you see, a feeling that you feel. When you step into that, there's going to be elements of that image, there's going to be elements of that experience, of that thing that really anchors you, that is going to reflect the things that you need to stay in that space. So I really encourage you to look at what's happening when you feel your power, and really start to play with the elements of that, and like ask questions from that space, like really tune in and know that you do know, and just make it up. Because I was with my coach, and I was like, okay, so I've got this thing on my head, and he's like, well, what does it mean? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, yeah, you do know. And I was like, okay, well, and this is a great question to ask. I was like, so if I did know what it mean, what does it mean? And I just tuned in. I was like, oh, actually, what it means is that I'm not really listening to all the stuff that can come in. I'm really like just focused on my purpose, and I'm focused on like really channeling and supporting people to bring forward higher information so that they can step forward into their purpose. And he's like, there you go, it's your will. And so I guess there's a bit in there for everyone. And one thing is that you will always be shown who you are and what your truth is, and there are elements of that for you to really like get to understand and create a relationship with. And number two is your will. Like, it really takes your will to bring yourself consistently to this edge, to this razor's edge, so that you can walk that line and use like both the higher and the lower aspects of who you are, your vision, your heart, your truth, what you're going for, and the other truth, like what you're feeling in your body, the experiences of your beliefs. You can use both of those simultaneously to create the wisdom of, well, how do I get from there to here? What's here, and do it from the place of vision. And I think we did this in day 4 of the masterclass. So if you haven't done that, highly recommend doing that. That's where the wisdom really truly arises. That's where your truth is going to arise, so that you know your path categorically. Hey, Brookie. And it's so significant for, I don't know if I've just been studying human design lately a lot too. It's really important. Like, it's such a crazy modality to really understand how you're influenced and how you're conditioned. So if you haven't looked into that, I highly suggest that you do, because it will give you an indication of like, am I influenced by other people's ideas? Am I influenced? Do I feel loved even? Like, it's crackers crazy how accurate it is. And that's just a side note, but definitely a recommendation to study. It's something that I am bringing into my coaching now, because I feel like it's so significant. It's so significant as to how we actually relate to the choices that we make. So when you've got a vision, depending on your type, it's going to be different depending on what your type is. I'm like, that is an insight that is just genius. So now when I work with my clients and they've got their vision, who they are and their design is going to depend on how they actually relate to the choices that they're making every single day. It's just like, it's a game changer. And I think it's really one thing that I did want to bring up in this of why people don't follow through is because it's in a day, we're going in and out, of dimensions, and we're having experiences and stimuluses and people and things coming at us and things coming through us, and our beliefs are bubbling up and bubbling forward. And we react to those. And unless we consciously take time to really get intentional about what we're creating and really know ourselves in a way of how am I conditioned, how am I influenced, then we're just going to get buffeted and we're not going to follow through. Like, we're going to think that purpose, that idea, that brainwave, that $1 million idea, that vision, that dream, it's just going to get lost and smashed by our beliefs, by those limiting beliefs. Unless we really, really, really take the time daily to bring yourself back, not in a battle, not as a warrior. I mean, we are warriors in terms of like, we're creative warriors, but it's not to defend, it's not to fight, it's just to come home and let go of everything and surrender back into that timeless space and then move forward and create from there. It's like constantly like giving yourself the nectar of life, giving yourself that connection back into your heart and to your truth, and then navigating and moving forward. So to summarize, you will get smashed by your beliefs when you make a powerful decision. It's so important to know what those beliefs are so that you can navigate from them and integrate them into how you're creating. If you deny them, they will only get stronger. Number 3 is to really use your will to be like, I'm really choosing this. I understand that my beliefs are here and I'm choosing this and I'm really going forward. Number 4 is to really take the moments and the time to bring yourself to your center daily, especially when you feel stressed, especially when you feel like you don't have time. You can do it in really short, you can grab and snatch little moments in every single day to bring yourself in and like really focus yourself. And 4 or 5, whichever number it is, I don't know what number it is, whatever I'm talking about, is alchemy and human design. Someone wants to come on board. Who is it? Trina Hopewell. Do you want to come on board? Let me know if you do and what you want to talk about. I'm all for. Actually, what time is it? Did you accidentally press that, or do you want to come on? Let me know. Let me know if you want to come on board, because I can. Let me see what the time is. I can potentially do that. I'm just not sure if you meant to do it or if it was an accident. So let me know, Trina. Okay. Yes, you do. Okay. Here we go. Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm in hospital.
I see. Did you want to
Can you
talk
see?
about what we're
Can you
talking
see
about?
me?
I can see you.
Okay.
Yes, we're live.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, we're
Sorry,
live.
girl. I'm just
okay.
getting my blood pressure done.
Oh, okay.
And I was just found time, believe it or not, to jump on board because there were some specific things I wanted to say about why this whole self-sabotage from the beginning. And I spent some time in America in high school there, and they are so into the whole empowerment from an early age and the self-glorification, and the world is just their bubble. That's it. And I'm talking about the late 70s when I was there. I was a bit of a novelty in the school. And so they would say, where am I from? And I said, Australia. And they said, oh, is that somewhere in Europe? They thought I was talking about Austria. Dead set, it's true. And but I really recognise that the culture of whatever country you come from can determine a lot about that whole empowerment and that will, the level of will in your lifetime decisions. And America's brilliant at it, brilliant. And I was dragged in to try out cheerleading, believe it or not. I never thought in a million years I'd do that sort of stuff. I was encouraged to do public speaking. I'd never be encouraged to do that sort of thing. I'm talking late 70s in the high schools in Perth, Western Australia. So I think it's definitely a determinant on what culture you are brought up in, and Australians and the English, which are Australians which predominantly were founded by the English, the Welsh, the Scottish, and then later multiculturalism comes into play. But we have that very stiff upper lip and carry on and soldier on sort of concept, and never step out of line and look pretty in pink, and the men were men, and there was no sort of determined forces, so to speak, on a very I don't know, personality level. I'm a little bit drugged out.
I think it's really interesting what you say about culture, and
but it's true. I mean, I'm nearly 60.
I was reading about this last night, and I think that culture really does influence. I think it was actually in reference to will, or as reference into the way that you experience yourself in the world. And not not all people are as influenced by culture in the same way that everyone else is influenced by culture. But there's an author who wrote the book Sun Signs. I forgot her name right now, but she was saying, like in reference to star signs, she was saying, you could be, for example, a Taurus in New York, or you could be a Taurus in Australia, and you would be significantly, even though you're prone to being like quite slow and lethargic, a Taurus in New York would be like very, very quick and speak quickly and blah, 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 blah. Whereas the exact same person in Perth in Australia, which is where I'm from, would be like, way more laid back and way more, but essentially you'd still kind of like filter through the same filters, I think. But I think it is really
or connected to the portals, the energy grids on the planet, the portals.
The places or the people?
Depends on where you are. Like, some countries inspire you, and I really believe that depending on where you are on the grid, and the longitude and the latitude and how close you are to a specific spiritual portal, that inspires, and that extenuates your personality as such. Like when I'm in Bali.
So that's exactly the place I thought of when you said that, 100%. But Bali, Hawaii,
Hawaii,
islands in general for me really have that high vibe
Right.
energy, and I think it is really significant
Yeah.
for different people. Like, so for example, some people do not like Bali at all. I
Right.
know I am actually looking at moving to Bali, and
Oh,
that's
okay.
why, is because there's so much. It's just like, it's a softer energy. I feel really supported there. Magic always
Yeah.
happens there for me. It's like this beautiful. The veil is thin. And I don't live with my son's father, but I invited him to come so that we could, so that our son, just to make it a bit more possible. And he's got a partner, and they both hate Bali. They hate it. Like, they're like, oh, it's not for me. I don't feel it there.
Trudy. I bet they should not go to India then.
That's right. And they love like this dense Australian bush, like where it's like harsh, and and that's probably why they're together, because they have that real, like, that synergy of that energy.
Sure.
Like, take me to Bali, where the spiritual, like, and
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
different.
I
So
have a
yeah, I get
place.
that. I think
I have a
location
place there.
is significant to the experience that you have. Byron Bay is probably, I haven't been to Byron Bay, but I think for some people Byron is really a place like that.
Yeah, I've got a place in Bali, in Nusa Lembongan, and the
Oh wow.
spirits there are really, really strong. I go there and I paint, and my ex-husband lives there in Ubud, and I thought for him that would be the last place on the planet he'd want to go live in. But yeah, he's not into any spiritual aspects at all. But it seems he's a businessman, so to speak, and Jewish. So I think he just wanted to get away from
A
Perth.
Jewish man in Bali. Anyway, sister, is there something that you wanted to say specifically even further? Simply because I have a meeting happening in about 5 minutes, and I wanted to just make this about a 20-minute live. So I appreciate you jumping on. It's always nice to have a conversation with people, but I am going to jump off, but I would love to give you an opportunity if there was something that you specifically wanted to share or say, then, or you've already
No, you just came up at that time, and I haven't put much into the group, and I was going to just say I won't continue, and I actually did cancel my name, but it kept on popping up, and it just so happens I had to be in hospital to get a nose job, not so much a job on the nose, but inside my nose, and I saw this and I thought, well, for some reason I have to just give my 5 cents worth, and I was a bit sort of cross with myself that I wasn't able to give more to the group than I have already, and to myself, of course, but I will hang in there as soon as I get out of here.
Well, it's been amazing to connect with you. Thank you so much. People are starting to jump on now. We're about to jump off. Yes, Colette, Avery, all of those places, 100%. I haven't been to Stonehenge, but Peru is another place that I feel really calls me. Just the energy, just the portals. Interestingly, I'm going to add one more thing onto this, is that I had like major back issues and pain, and when I was in these high energy portal places, it literally it wasn't there. It was so easy to transcend because the energy there was heaps lighter. I appreciate you for coming on. Do stay in. I mean, there's no obligation in the group to do or be anything, but it's lovely to see you, and thank you for sharing, and I wish you the best with your nose job. And
well, I didn't have a nose job as such. It's more to do with, those rotor-rooters you put in the toilet and it cleans out your nasal. That's what they did.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's been a bit of a night, but I'm going home to sleep and to eat and listen to Daya Dover. I might listen to some of her work. All right, darling.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Lots of information coming through now.
Yes, there is. Thank you.
Okay. Namaste.
Bye. Bye.